Hello there, welcome back to my channel. Today I am excited to be bringing you the Natasha Denona Face Glam Palette review and demo. Mine already has lots of fingerprints there. I've tried to keep it clean, but this palette was just released on November 1st and I was able to pick it up on the first day of the Sephora sale. Now I know they are way behind in shipping, so some of you probably already ordered this but might be waiting for it to come, or you've been waiting for it to get back in stock and now that it is, you're wondering, should I buy this? So today I'm going to cover all of the details. I'll just give you kind of brief bullet points up front of all the facts about the palette. I'm going to show you a demo of my look today, and then stay tuned to the end so you can hear my final personal take on this palette and whether I think it's worth your hard-earned money. If you're new here, be sure you hit that subscribe button. Now let's get started. All right, let's first talk about the packaging. The outer box mimics what's on the inside. This is a very super high mirror finish. It's almost like a silvery rose color. It's really beautiful. It is very reflective though, so it does show every single fingerprint. So I'm going to try also not to blind you as I'm showing this palette. Now you'll notice it does seem pretty thin. It is nice and sleek. It is thinner than her midi palette, so you can see there the difference there. It does have a very strong magnetic closure. On the inside, we have a full-size, really good mirror. And then personally, what I love that she did is she did a clear protective cover here over the two cheek products that just lifts up like this. It keeps any dust from the 5 eyeshadows from getting into your cheek products, and therefore you're not going to have to worry about getting one of these shades on your cheeks. So I do appreciate that. This is a cream blush and kind of a hybrid. It is a very soft texture. I feel like it is a cream as well, but you can tell a slight little difference in texture. The texture of this blush is slightly firmer than this highlighter. I'll show you swatches here in a moment. And then the 5 eyeshadows, we have 2 shimmer shadows and 3 mattes. The names of these shadows are like what she did in the Glam eyeshadow palette. She just put the kind of location of where she would recommend you apply them as their name. So for example, we have inner corner, transition, crease, outer corner, and smoke. So that's how she named them. And then her blush shades, I don't even know that she has blush shades. It just says cream blush and then cream glow highlighter. This is the light shade version. This palette also comes in a dark shade, and the shades in that, the eyeshadows are much deeper. And then the blush and the highlight, they seem to have the same tone, they're just slightly deeper, so something to keep in mind. This palette retails for $59. It's available at Sephora and also on Natasha Denona's website. And the formulation of these products, she says it's a brand new formula that uses Japanese technology to deliver an extreme glow. In a moment, you're going to see an application of the eyeshadows and the blush and the highlighter, and I'll talk a little bit about the formulation as I apply them. But let me pop on the screen some swatches. Now you'll see that the eyeshadow shades, they are overall very neutral and warm. And then the shimmer shades, the 2 shimmer eyeshadows, while they are slightly different in tone, they do have kind of a similar look, I feel like, on the eyes. And then you'll see the blush and highlighter shade. The blush shade is a beautiful, almost a light brick rose in this light version. And that highlighter is just stunning. All right, now just one final note before we jump into the demo portion of this video is I want to tell you about the size and the fill weight of this palette. Because many times we just look at the size of the palette and we assume that it's the same size or the same fill weight. So this is the Glam eyeshadow palette, and I want to show you. So the size of the shadows in the Face Glam palette look to be the same. However, the fill weight on these eyeshadows is actually half the amount. So the fill weight on these shadows is 0.02 ounces or 0.57 grams each. In the Glam eyeshadow palette. Each one of these shadows is 0.04 ounces or 1.28 grams each. So that is something just to tuck away into the back of your mind. All right, let's go ahead and jump into the demo portion of this video, and then I will round out this video with my final thoughts and let you know whether you need to run out and purchase it or save your money. All right, I've already applied the Thrive Causemetics 360 Eye Lift Eyeshadow Primer. And now, because there's no brow bone highlight shade in the palette, I'm just gonna use this one from Natasha Denona. This was a BoxyCharm limited edition, but this shade right here is called Aya, and it's just a matte cream shade, pretty close to my current skin tone. So just going to place this all along the brow bone here. And I'm using the Sigma E50. All right, going into our palette, I'm gonna go in with this shade right here, and you're gonna see it looks like it has some pink tones in the palette. Using my Morphe M504, you're gonna see as it goes on, it's pretty much just a light, warm tan shade. It is really pretty, but very neutral. So I thought this was going to be a lot more pink than it was. So, but it just stays very neutral. I'm just putting that all through the crease, and then I'm just going to build this up slightly, especially in the outer corner. And then I'm gonna switch my brush to a slightly more dense brush. This is the BK Beauty 206, and staying with that same shade, just continue to build it up a little bit more. So you can see you get quite a lot of color payoff with these shades. You can build them up just with a more dense brush, and keep that in the back of your mind for later when I give you my final review on this palette. I'm gonna go in with the deepest shade in the palette, which is this one, and it just says Smoke, and I'm using the Sigma E27. This is a brush I often forget about, but it's slightly fluffy on the end, but much more precise, and allows you to lay down product a little quicker, but then it's fluffy enough to do a little bit of blending. So I love this for the outer corner here, these deeper shades. You can see I am really just packing that into the corner and then blending it up towards the brow. And I'm going up rather than out. Just kind of want a soft lift to my eye look today, but I am going to make sure I take this far enough so that my hooded eyes, when I put on liner, there won't be a gap. All right, and then just with what's left on the brush, I'm going to just softly kind of buff that through the center of the crease. And then I'll go back to the 206, no extra product, and just make sure the edge of that is real soft. And I'm gonna sharpen up this edge later, so I don't have to worry about that right now. And then sometimes after I've done the other eye, I just like to go back and make sure the crease is even with the color on both sides. And sometimes I just have to go back with my brush and bring a little bit more towards the inner corner, especially on this eye. Okay, for the lid shades. All right, I've experimented with these in numerous ways, and I found the best way that I prefer to wear it is with a base underneath. So I'm gonna use this as the Urban Decay Shadow Stick, and I can't read what the color is at the moment, so I'll put it up on the screen. It's just kind of a light, frosty, kind of pinky champagne shade. It doesn't have a ton of color, but it does provide a more even base on the lid for our shimmer shade. And I took that about 2/3 of the way across the lid and up to the crease. Now I'm going to take the A505 from BK Beauty, and I'm going to go in with this lighter shade called Inner Corner. And this is the I would say close to the lightest shade. You can, the face highlighter is a little bit lighter than this, but I'm just going to pack this on the lid. And this is a super soft formula, and it does pick up on a brush really well. What I like is that the glitter does not just fly everywhere when you press it onto the lid like I'm doing here. And then I'll just go back with the brush that we have the deepest shade on and just go back with a tiny little bit of that smoke shade and just feather that over the edge of that glitter shade there. You could also go back in with like this shade or this one, but I just want to keep this a little simpler today. For the lower lash line liner, I'm going to use this new one from Sephora. It's new to me, and it is in the shade Shimmer Taupe. And I'm going to put this in the waterline. This is a great mix between kind of brown and gray and pink. So it is kind of a mauvey brown shade. It's not going to give you full on waterline coverage, but I just like that little bit of thickness it adds at the lash line, and the shimmer, it's fine. It's not like chunky glitter, but I just love the effect. This just adds a nice smokiness to the lower lash line without being too dramatic. Now going in with the Morphe M432 and just a little bit of that smoke shade. I'm just going to put this right up against the lash line. And this just helps set that liner in place, especially here on the outer corner. If you ever have watery eyes, it's helpful. Just add a little powder over that pencil, help set it. And then I'm going to go in with the lightest shade that we used in the crease, which is the Transition, and I'm just going to use this real lightly here at the front section. So we have a little bit of that glow in the center of the lower lash line. Last step before mascara, I'm going to use a little bit of Urban Decay Demolition eye pencil, and just going to keep this real close to the lashes on this inner part here, really just actually pressing the pencil into the lash line. And then as I get to about the midpoint, because my eyes go down, I like to just pull this out a little bit straighter, so it kind of helps lift that outer corner a bit. And not really going to wing it out. I'm going to do more of a wedge shape here. And then we'll soften it a little bit with some shadow. And then taking the deepest smoke shade on the BK Beauty 204, I'm going to use this right where I stopped with that liner. This is why I didn't have to be too precise, because I'm going to use this just to smudge that edge and soften it and blend it just into the outer corner just a bit. All right, as you can see, I've applied concealer and mascara, and my mascara is still drying, so I'm holding my eyes open so I don't get it all over. All right, so now you can tell I really need some color on the cheeks, and now we're gonna go into my personal favorite part of this palette. This blush is just gorgeous. I'm using the Luxe 522, and what a difference blush is going to make on our face when we just add that nice rosy tone. It's very buildable, but it is pigmented, so you don't have to go in with 25 layers, but it is very, very forgiving. So especially using kind of a fluffy brush like this, it allows you to really control. So you can see what a difference, right? That little added bit of rosiness on the cheeks, it makes such a big difference. And I just like to, I add maybe a little more than I typically want to end up with, because I still need to powder my face. So I am using this on unpowdered skin. I just personally prefer to apply cream blushes that way. Okay, you can see I'm looking pretty rosy, right? And I am gonna dust just a little bit there. Okay, and now the other part that's just incredible. I'm using this e.l.f. This was a part of their electric collection. It's just a dual fiber brush, and I'm gonna go in with this highlighter because it is kind of a hybrid between a powder and gel. This highlighter is so intense. I go very, I mean, real light strokes, but look how beautiful that is. Oh my goodness. And I thought it was going to be chunky glitter when I swatched it and first kind of was going to apply it, but it really melts into the skin. And I mean, it's intense, but you're not going to see visible particles of glitter on your cheeks. Oh, look at that. So beautiful. All right, a little bit on the bridge of the nose. And then I've been using this on the inner corner because this also is notated that it is not notated to only use it on the face. So that is the A-okay in my book to use it on the inner corner here, and you can just see how brightening, and you can see the difference in texture from that to what's on our lid. So on our lid, there is a lot more just sparkle and glitter, and this highlighter is just intense metallic. All right, and then to finish out my look today, I just applied the two BK Beauty products. This is the lip liner in Warm Spice and lipstick in Acceptance. And I just love that combination with the rest of the makeup today. So now my final thoughts on the palette. So as we went along, you may have been picking up on some clues. So first of all, let's start with the packaging. I do love the beautiful packaging. It is fingerprinty, that's okay. But I feel like there was a missed opportunity here that may have made this palette a little higher on my ranking list. And what I mean by that is, in her previous palettes, both her large eyeshadow palettes and these midi eyeshadow palettes, she made them interchangeable. So you could pop out the shadows in these palettes and either move them around in the palette or switch them between palettes. This palette, you cannot do that. So the shades that are in here, the blush, everything, they must stay in here. And so I feel like the missed opportunity is because this is a great travel size. It's very travel friendly. I love having a blush and highlighter and eyeshadows all together, but these aren't necessarily the only shades that I would want to travel with. Having mentioned the shades, that is my second critique on this palette. Yes, it's meant to be kind of a neutral glam palette, and you do get a beautiful look with it. However, when there are only 5 shadows to deal with, I want each one of those shadows to stand on its own and to be distinct enough from the other shades in the palette to where I don't feel like every look I create with the palette ends up looking the same. And unfortunately, I feel like that is what happens with this palette. Yes, you could keep it all matte and not do the shimmer on the lid. You could not do the dark brown in the outer corner and do the mid-tone brown. But again, it's brown with a kind of light shimmery gold or just a hair darker gold. Also, you will notice on the actual packaging, and I feel like she noted this specifically because we might be looking at that beautiful pink blush and be tempted to use that in our crease or to change up our eye look. But on the outer packaging, it specifically has a warning not to use that blush on your eyes. It says it is meant only to be used on the cheeks. So I think initially when you look at this palette, you kind of think, well, I could use that rosy tone through the crease and change up the eye look? No. But that warning is not on there for the highlighter. So if you have this beautiful, nice shimmery highlight shade, I personally feel like we could have gotten away with just one more shimmer shade in kind of maybe more of like a peachy tone, peachy pink shade. This is the mini retro, like one of these shades to where you would get a slightly different color that would look beautiful with that rosy blush. And then we could have had an opportunity to have 4 mattes. So we could keep this one, we could keep this one, but change these out and maybe do something that is more like add in kind of a peachy rose or a pinky rose shade, and then like a deep plum. Imagine those shades kind of with the cheek colors in here and that highlighter shade as a shimmer on the lid. So I just feel like she missed an opportunity to really make this palette more versatile. Now, my final point about this palette is the cheek products. They are amazing. And I feel like these are the reason why you buy this palette. Being an eyeshadow lover, I was looking at this as kind of eyeshadow first and then cheek second. But if you buy this palette, I feel like the standout products in this palette are the cheek products. Now, that is not to say there's anything wrong with the formulation of these shadows, but again, it's just a color choice preference. So if you are somebody who only wears warm browns and gold shades on your eyes and you like the option of just having everything in one palette, this is all you want to grab for, these are the only kinds of looks that you like to do, then this might be worth your money to invest in. However, if you're somebody like me who likes to have a little change up, even if I'm using just a small palette, if I were to travel, I just want to have a few more options. So if you're like me, I actually don't think that you're going to be super thrilled with this palette. So as much as it hurts me to say that, because I do love Natasha Denona eyeshadows, I love so many of her products, I just do not feel like the $59 price tag is really worth it. I hope that this video was helpful. It didn't end maybe the way that you or I thought it would. I can't tell you how excited I was to try this palette, but again, it's not a bad palette. I just wish that she had given us a few different color options or even made it interchangeable so we could have brought in some other colors to switch it out when we're traveling. Thank you as always so much for watching. All of the products that I used in today's demo, the brushes, everything will be linked in the description box below. I hope you guys have a wonderful day and I'll see you next time. Bye.